And now the topic is open for the questions if there are any questions. I think many people are doing very good job in their practice, and they want to actually share their experiences also. As today we have very short of time, they can be included in the next lectures also. They present their patients also. I think what Nana has suggested, that regarding the journal club, it should be taken into consideration. And as I think there are not many questions in the chat box, only one question was there regarding remdesivir is not included in the guidelines. So can anybody answer on that, Sachin, regarding the guidelines?
Yes, sir. Regarding remdesivir, WHO guidelines don't mention remdesivir at all. Even Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has recommended not to use remdesivir now. Okay, there are so many conflicting views. In fact, if we talk with this thing, physician and chest physician colleagues also, there are also different experiences with using remdesivir. Some are supportive of remdesivir, some are not. Okay, so some personal experiences in treating this thing, patients are different. And as Ramdas has rightly said, that they have not used remdesivir in 50-60 COVID patients they have seen and treated in their hospital. So our individual views will also be different. But as per the official line, the remdesivir is not recommended for treatment in COVID patients, in pediatric also, in adult also. But IP guidelines mention remdesivir.
Yeah, thank you. There is one question for Dr. Ujjwala. Can you mention regarding the actually what is the role of CRP? One second. CRP in pediatric COVID. Ujjwala, can you answer this question regarding CRP in pediatric COVID?
Yeah.
CRP.
Sir, please repeat the question.
CRP in pediatric COVID.
Significance of CRP is really necessary because the quantitative titers are helpful for whether there are signs of inflammations or not. In many cases, initially CRP is negative, but for progress of the disease and for management, I think it's helpful. We are quite following the quantitative titers of CRP.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, Pratap, this question is for you. That after infection 4 to 6 weeks, we can take vaccination. It's like one dose of vaccine.
After infection, if somebody has got infected and he has not taken a single dose of a vaccine, after recovery, after 3 months, he has to follow the complete schedule of the vaccines. So if that vaccine manufacturer recommends 2 doses, he has to take 2 doses. If 1 dose was taken and after that the subject gets infected, then second dose has to be taken 3 months after recovery from the illness, and he completes the 2 doses. There was one more question regarding BCG and MMR by Tarde sir. Actually, I forgot to mention it in the slides, so I thought there will be some questions I can then answer. So these BCG and MMR, these are non-targeted vaccines. These are not targeted against coronavirus. Now, there are more studies which are required to give a verdict on that, so that we can start giving MMR and BCG. Now, in India, we have tuberculosis as a endemic problem, and almost every baby receives BCG vaccine. Now, this BCG vaccine is not going to pass on this benefit to adults. So, and even MMR also is not going to give protection in adults. But studies are required to give a verdict on that whether MMR and BCG should be repeated in adults. So there is no confirmed guideline on that.
Okay. Now, I request Dr. Akolkar to answer this question: how to differentiate between cytokine storm and secondary infection based on inflammatory markers?
In a cytokine storm and other infections like
And secondary infection
other-
based on inflammatory markers.
yes, if you do procalcitonin level, then if it is normal. If it is raised, it is in infections, other infections, procalcitonin level. While it is normal in cytokine storm.
Okay.
And other markers are there in cytokine storms. They are like D dimer, which are raised in thousands. And they are not raised so in bacterial infections.
Okay. Anybody else want to share?
Yes, sir.
Huh.
Actually, we can differentiate on the clinical features also, because if there is secondary infection, the child may be looking very toxic, the high grade fever may be there, and the patient's condition will deteriorate quite slowly. But in cytokine storm, that will be the huge response due to the cytokine, and there will be sudden deterioration in the patient's condition also. The look will be not that much toxic, which can be seen in bacteremia. Even with the help of inflammatory markers, we can also differentiate, as sir rightly said about the procalcitonin. And other thing is, if the cytokine storm is less in pediatric, it is more seen in mostly adult patient and adolescents. We are seeing in adolescents patient. For below 5 years, it is rarely seen.
Okay. Can you answer next question? How to differ between Kawasaki and Miss?
Kawasaki and
MIS.
PIMS. Yes, sir. Actually, in Kawasaki, due to post-COVID infection, there may be the five criteria: complete and incomplete. In Kawasaki, fever, then inflammations of mucosa, then lymphadenopathy, high-grade fever, which is not responding to the antipyretic, and 2D echo reports. 2D echo reports, there might be coronary dilatations can be seen. In PIMS, that is with the all multi-systems involvement and due to antibody response that may be seen after 2 to 3 weeks of post-COVID infection, and almost CNS can be involved. Then the abdominal system, there are a lot of symptoms can be observed in gastrointestinal system. And PIMS, there is antibody titers are quite high. You can see that.
Okay.
In Kawasaki disease, mostly cardiac complications are more common.
And the age group usually
Age
is,
groups
Kawasaki is under 5 years.
under 5 years, and more than 5 years, PIMS is more common.
And one laboratory criteria like platelet count, which is raised in Kawasaki, while that is low in this MIS.
Okay. Thank you, Nana. And Nana, actually, Ujjwala or Nana can answer this. What is role of 2D echo in severe COVID and indications and how to interpret? Ujjwala?
Yes, sir.
Role of 2D
For
echo in severe COVID, indications and how to interpret.
if you find the patient is having heart rate variable, there are signs of like congestive cardiac failure, and child is complaining of palpitations and chest pain, one should follow. And if there is history of high grade fever and you are getting the clinical features like Kawasaki diseases, inflammation of mucosa and swelling of joints, and sudden deterioration, so we can consider the indication for 2D echo. I think directly going for 2D echo, ECG is quite good for heart rate and arrhythmias monitoring. 48 hours, as I have included in my lecture, 48 hourly we can monitor the ECG. That is more feasible for us going for 2D echo. And if you are having Kawasaki-like presentation, then it's necessary to go for 2D echo and pediatric cardiologist opinion. And it is depend on the standard deviation scores. There are Z scores they had given, and it is significant if it is more than 2.5, then it can be considered as the significant. And for that condition, the regular follow-ups are more important. And if the first echo is abnormal, then we should always go for the second echo on 4 to 6 weeks, and again after 1 year we should follow this.
Okay. Then next question is regarding methylprednisolone versus dexamethasone in severe COVID
Methylprednisolone or?
versus dexamethasone.
Sir, it's very tricky question because we are not using so much of steroids for patients. There are a lot of side effects regarding to the steroids. And I think many patients came out of it because of only supportive management. And the dexamethasone we are using before COVID also for the management of meningitis and all those. But the quite hyperglycemia is common with the dexamethasone. And if you go for methylprednisolone, that may lead to the sudden complications like first dose hypotension. And if the patient is in septic shock or there is low volume pulse, and you are going for methylprednisolone with the high doses, that may land up with the death. So
Yes.
I think one should very much careful while using methylprednisolone. In our setup, we are not using methylprednisolone common. Not commonly, almost we hadn't used.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think next question is regarding when to advise HRCT.
When to advise?
HRCT.
HRCT. If there is on clinical features, we can differentiate. If you are going for basic investigation, one should have the basic X-ray, chest X-ray done. If the X-ray is showing bilateral pneumonitis, then I think there is no need to repeat the X-rays in serial monitoring, because there will be not so much changes within 2 or 3 days. If there is sudden deterioration of respiratory complaints like severe grunting, patient is not responding to the oxygenation, the saturation is falling down, then we can consider HRCT.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think all answers were given very nicely by the faculties, and I think I should conclude this session that all has done very well, and the next